Hey guys, Amy here with your February swag. So we've got St. Patty's Day and we've got some 4-leaf clovers and some gold, traditional St. Patty's for sure. So we've got 2 ink colors. We've got the light green and the dark green. So these are going to be great to paint with to give us that watercolor look. So one is like a real deep emerald, and then one is more of a spring greeny, kind of like a Kelly green. And this is going to give you that dimension when we're doing our shamrocks. So next we've got our pure gold flakes, which these are great. You can use big chunks, small chunks, all the things. And last, the painter brush, which this is great for painting with your inks because it will hold enough product. So basically I'm just getting the starch out of the brush, getting this ready to paint with. So next, to get started, I am using Harper from the Babe Gel Polish collection. This is like a nice pale green, perfect for a background. You guys can use whatever color you want for your background, but just remember the inks are very transparent, so you definitely need a lighter background, nothing too dark, or your designs aren't really going to show up enough. So we're going to get these coated, 1 coat, and cure for a full 60 seconds. Okay, we're gonna grab the gold flakes because this is gonna come out slightly tacky out of the lamp. So I wanna put these gold flakes onto that tacky surface. It just saves you time rather than having to re-top coat or put these on top of your art. So I'm gonna grab my art brush that came in your swag bag, and I'm just gonna load it with a little bit of top coat, and I'm really gonna brush like 95% of the top coat out. I just want this brush slightly sticky. If you go in with it too wet, you'll have a hard time getting that gold flake off of the brush and onto the surface of the nail. So we're just gonna grab little flakes and just gently press them in. You can use a little bit more pressure if you want to break up the chunks a little bit more and kind of fan them out. So when they come up out of the jar, some of the flakes can be really big. You can break them apart on your table towel or on your palette, or if you're wanting to go in with the bigger chunks, you can just place those down too. And you can just see I use the brush to kind of roll them out. You want to make sure that they're nice and flat, so number 1, they don't leave any texture, and number 2, you don't want it not adhering and being able to kind of chip off. You want to make sure they're laying flat and they're not doubled up on each other. They're all the way opened up. So once we're happy with the placement of all the gold flake, we are going to go right in with matte top coat. So I always recommend using matte top coat when you're trying to paint something with the inks. It just grabs onto the surface and it dries faster, so you can get those kind of bold lines and veins, rather than if you're doing it on a shiny surface, you're just going to end up muddling it and it's going to take too long to dry, so it's going to be a little bit harder to control. So go ahead and pop on your matte top coat and then give that a cure of 60 seconds. Remember, we're always using pure acetone to move our inks, not alcohol. We want acetone. It dries faster and keeps the color of the inks a lot better than alcohol will. So we're gonna go right in with our brush into the bottle of ink, and we're gonna grab just a little bit. So I always keep a palette next to me when I'm working with the inks, because if you wipe out your brush on your table towel, it's gonna immediately pull all the ink out, and you're not going to have enough on your brush to do any design work. So a palette will keep it a little bit wetter. You can kind of go in, grab a little bit more before it dries up. The thing with the ink is it dries super, super fast. So if you are using a table towel, it's just going to pull all that out and you're just going to be fighting it. I'll go back in with the acetone and kind of create lighter versions of the ink, then kind of drop that right on top of our design and pull some of that color out. Also keep in mind, it is very, very fluid. So start off with just a little bit in your brush. If you go in too heavy, it's going to kind of just float around the design and it's going to ruin, if you're trying to do a specific design. Obviously, if you're trying to do just marbling, that's okay, you can go in heavier, but trying to do small little details, you want to make sure there's just the tiniest amount of product on your brush. So that's what makes this brush working with the ink really nice, is you can kind of control that. If you were working with the brush out of the bottle it would be much harder to control because you're picking up so much more product. So again, just keep playing with it, keep dropping a little bit of acetone on there. Try, mixing a few of the colors just to give it that perfect dimension. And once you're happy, I'm just going to set this aside and we're going to move on to a more of a marble design. So for the marble design, a little bit different. I want this to be a little bit more abstract-y than pure marble. So I'm going in heavy with some dots and I guess blobs, right, of the colors. I'm going in with both the light green and the dark green, and now I'm just going in and kind of layering over just so that I can get enough product on there and I can kind of see where I want my design to be. So once I've got all the color on there, I'm going to go back in with the acetone and I'm just going to start dotting at it and helping it move. And instead of really pulling these dots, I'm just pressing them and letting them kind of create their own organic kind of texture and dimension. Again, this is something you can play with for a while. You can go back in, grab more ink. You can go back in, grab more acetone, lighten it, darken it, create those veins and that design that you want. And once you're happy with that, we're going to set this one aside as well, and we will work on our last design. But I'll play with this for a little bit until I start to see like the edges really disappear into the background of the gel polish, so it looks a little bit more faded and it looks a little bit more abstract. Okay, and for our last design, I am so sorry, I am out of camera on most of this design, but I am just picking up tiny little dots of that ink. I don't want to go in heavy at all. I just want to start with tiny little dots, and then I will go in and connect them, and I will add some acetone to lighten them up and give them that watercolor look. And right now we're just creating the little mini 3 and 4 leaf clovers. So again, sorry for my excellent camera skills here, but we are pretty much doing the same steps, just less product. Again, you can always add more. It's very hard to take it away because it does leave a little staining on the nail plate. So just go in as light as possible and just add layers of it to create the dimension and the watercolor look. So another fun detail we can add is a little bit of flicking of the ink. So when you're doing this, make sure that you're not going down and flicking because it's going to flick back up at you. So you want to make sure you're underneath the brush, hold it, pull up, and it'll flick down on the nail. Again, I should be fired for my excellent camera skills because I'm missing the flick here, but we are making sure you're going in that proper direction so that it gives little flicks of color to the background. And again, just adds a little bit of more depth and just more fun to the design. A little bit more detail. That's what I want to say. So we're going to do that on both of the nails, and I'm just going to tell you I'm doing it because you can't really see me doing it. However, I am doing it in the background, I promise. And once we're happy with that, again, we're just going to make sure that that ink is all dry before we put our top coat on. So for the swag card, I did use a gloss. So we're going to do these in matte, but a little tip for you, matte top coat is like a suspension base. So it'll take anything up off the nail and pull it. So if you are wanting to end with a matte finish, put your gloss top coat on first, cure for about 20 seconds, and then go over it with a matte. So for the third one, I wasn't thrilled about how my clover came out, so we'll ruin that one on purpose. We're going to go straight in with the matte top coat, and I just want to show you guys what will happen. So as you're painting it on, it's going to start to grab that ink and pull and kind of stretch it down the nail. So we'll go ahead and cure this, and then I'll show you guys. You can kind of see it already right now. But now the other two are out of the lamp. I'm going back in with the matte top coat, and we'll give these a full 60-second cure. So here is that clover with the matte top coat. You can see how it pulled it and distorted the design. So you want to protect it. If you want a matte finish, make sure you're putting that gloss on first. So here's our matte look, and I'll show you guys matte against shiny, and you guys decide which one you like best. So that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Make sure you tag us in all of your creations. I always love to see what you guys come up with. And again, thanks for watching, and see you next month.